we are back. This is the Dream is Free podcast. I'm your host, Jake Healy. Our other host and super producer is Mike Theophil.
Hey guys, what's up?
Our guest today is Alan Stewart Jr.
Yes, there he is.
AKA Stewie to us.
Yes, Stewie the GOAT.
And he is officially the president of YB Realty now.
Yep,
He's also a licensed realtor, business coach, and public speaker. Father.
A phenomenal father.
Family man, everything. Tesla owner.
Yes.
All right, we are back. This is the Dream is Free podcast. I'm your host, Jake Healy. Our other host and super producer is Mike Theophil.
Hey guys, what's up?
Our guest today is Alan Stewart Jr.
Yes, there he is.
AKA Stewie to us.
Yes, Stewie the GOAT.
And he is officially the president of YB Realty now.
Yep,
He's
Yellow
also
Brick.
licensed realtor, business coach,
Yep.
and public speaker.
Yes.
Right? Am I missing anything?
I don't know. We all do a lot, right?
Yeah, right. But no, so I thought
Family
of you.
man? Family man?
Oh,
Yes.
He is a father.
A phenomenal father.
Family man, everything. Tesla owner.
Yes. It's going to be in our promo.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep that on the low, man.
No, look, you pulled
I don't
up.
like
It was
to
so sexy. We
boast.
had to see it.
I know. I don't like to put that thing out there.
We have Batman in the room.
Yes, we do.
Batmobile.
Well, that's
outside.
why I know you're going to go into your thing, but that's.
Tell
I
us.
just want to talk a little bit about that. So the reason one of my friends was trying to get me to buy that car for quite some time now, and I don't, me, I wear rubber watches and my own gear, so I'm not super flashy, but I thought about it, and my son's favorite superhero is Batman, so is mine. So I looked at this
You're
car.
like, this justifies it.
And I totally it justified it.
It does.
I just want my son to think I'm Batman, so.
Yeah.
And
You've been grinding hard. You deserve it too.
and I spent a fair amount of time in my car too, but
Yes.
every time I'm like, hey, you want to go here? Are we taking the Batmobile? Yes, son, we are.
We're taking the Batmobile every day.
Every day. I love it.
Yeah.
So why'd you think of him, Jake? Yesterday.
We were doing a podcast yesterday,
Okay.
and while we were doing it, we brought up Housatonic Community College.
Yes.
And like while in the moment, I actually zoned out for a second, like while the guy that we had on was talking too, like just for a second, because I thought about, I just remember like a brief flashback to sitting in the Housatonic Community College, like the little shared space in there with you and John Minilianica one day. And like I just had a flashback to it after like we got out of a class one day, and I was like, damn, it's crazy how far we've come since then, since before then, especially.
Yeah.
But since that, like, that moment of like,
I didn't even
all
know
of us
you
being
went.
there.
You went there, Stewie, because I knew we did.
Yeah.
We
He was there at the same time.
same
too.
time as you guys. Yeah, so it's just crazy. I was like, wow.
I went there on several different occasions. I started there after high school, and it took me 8 years to get an associate's degree over there.
Yeah, but you never gave up.
No, I never gave.
Yeah.
You know how the game.
Yeah.
You're on and you're off, and
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah, but I was just like,
I love
like,
Housatonic teachers there. Really care.
They're
That's
the
what I
best.
said,
Yeah.
They're
That's
the
what we were
best.
saying yesterday.
Yes.
Is like
Yeah.
I've learned more there than
Yes.
Sacred Heart and like anywhere. You know
They
what I mean?
really
Like,
care there. They
Yeah.
really do.
They make you feel like you're not where you are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When you're there at that level, because, if you're at Housatonic, you clearly, something happened, but it was awesome for me. And I know you guys could attest to it. It's like they put something inside of me that was like belief that I didn't have even in myself yet.
I
in
agree
school.
with that. I agree. I had a lot of really low points in my life at Housatonic, and the teachers never gave up on me. I mean, and from coming into Housatonic, testing. You remember the pre-credited classes?
Yes, I had to take those too.
I was just gonna say, like, I barely went to high school, so when I went to Housatonic,
Me too.
I started in the non-credit
Me too.
math
Me too.
classes.
Me too.
This is fucking epic. Yo, that's epic. Like, you're sitting in class with kids that don't even know how to do a fucking full paragraph, you know? Like, yeah.
No, 100%. They had to,
I know.
teach you how to use commas and
2 plus 2 equals 4. Like,
Yeah.
now I'm writing executive emails.
Exactly.
Shout out to How's It Chronic?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's called, baby.
For real.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, when I got there, I had like, I didn't even know if I wanted to go to school. I was
Yep.
just
Yeah.
like,
Well, I think you just didn't know what you're doing, so you're like, I guess I'll go there.
it's free now too.
Yeah.
After we finish, like, State of Connecticut Community College is free.
Is it? Holy cow!
If you've never,
I know.
If you've never gone before,
Yeah.
Well, that's
you can go for
unfair
free
because I
now.
just paid off my student loan.
I was
so-
thinking that as I paid mine off, I was like, damn, they fucking got me.
I paid off mine even though the deferment and stuff like that. I just think that like doing things like that make you more proud of yourself. So
Yeah.
Feels good
want to
getting rid
level
of
up.
that debt. Yeah.
You want to level up again, and I could have just held on to it because who knows? They may be forgiving all that stuff soon.
I know some people who actually just like make the minimum payments on their student loans thinking that they are eventually going to,
Chip away at it. Yeah, no.
yeah.
They don't understand. You gotta throw as much as you can.
No,
at
like
it.
they think like
They think it's
like
gonna be
the
forgiven.
government might forgive student loans.
Oh,
federal
no.
student loans.
There's a possibility.
I didn't have that much anyways because Housatonic wasn't really like that
expensive.
of a school, so
No.
not too bad.
Well, I spent 2 years in a 4-year, and I was talking to somebody about that the other day up in Providence. They're like, "Oh, you went to school in Providence?" I'm like, "If you call it that,
you were like, I was in Providence.
yeah,
school.
I don't know if I was at school, but yeah,
yeah."
that's funny. But no, so like, thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome.
I was thinking about going back to like that moment at Housatonic. From there, like you've had a very, very successful track record in the real estate industry, right?
Yeah, it's blessed. It treats me good.
Where did from Housatonic? That was 2013,
12, 13, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then when did you get into real estate? It was shortly after that, right?
2015.
2015.
So, yeah, at the Housatonic time, I was handing out passes for minimum wage at a local fitness place downtown Stanford. So, and I it was a very common thing. The guys with the suits with the nice jobs. Actually, I wanted to be in investment banking and things like that when I was young, from watching movies like Gordon Gekko and Wall Street.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like that type of guy at that time. Now I value totally different things.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the time, that's what I emulated. And I remember, coming back to Connecticut and handing out these passes, and they would just be like, "Get a real job, throw away your own trash," like things like that. And I kindly got a couple of people in the door. I had this great idea to go to Staples and invest in myself. First time I did, and put $20. Got a stamp with my name on it and my number. And so when people came in with the free passes, they started calling me.
Oh, nice.
And then before real estate, what would happen is they would say, "Oh, I don't want to tour the gym unless the young man out there," because I would be
Yeah, your energetic self. Yeah.
exactly. And no matter how many times they told me no, the next day I'd come back up and be like, "Listen, I didn't throw it away yet. You sure you don't want? Oh, I've already used the free pass. It's all good. You're gonna use it again.
Yeah.
You're gonna love the place so much.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell your friends and family about me." And then so they would let me tour it. I'd put the people on the steel, and then I started converting. And then within like 2 months, became a weekend manager. Within another like 2 to 3 months, I was a general manager. And then they were putting me around from, this is right before real estate. They were putting, they were.
I remember real quick. I remember sitting in Junie's kitchen with you, Junie, TJ, and you were like thinking about leaving your position in the gym where you had it pretty good and jumping into real estate. Like I just remember like sitting there having that conversation with you.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm very grateful for that place. They taught me a lot about sales. I realized that I really enjoyed sales,
Right.
connection, convincing, just
Face-to-face stuff. And
just really having impressions on people, being able to
Hold somebody's attention.
hold
all
somebody's
that stuff.
attention and get them to do something you want. But at the same time, I had morals, so I always made sure it was the right thing. If it wasn't a right fit, I didn't use that power for bad. But they really helped me develop that and realize that I enjoyed it a lot. So I went off and studied on my own. So I me, just kind of half measures avail is nothing.
Right.
So I just every night would read about it, and I still do. I spend, speaking of college, every year I spend at least a college tuition on my education, still to this day, and it gets more and more and more every single year.
Just investing in yourself.
Of course, 100%. The education costs way more than the Tesla in the driveway.
Yeah.
But long story short is they were taking me around from location to location, and I was teaching the other managers how to sell, just different sales tactics and things like that. So naturally, the next step was vice president, and I didn't really want to. I just wanted something else. And TJ tells a different story, but the way that I remember it, and I know it was this way, it was true too. TJ was trying to recruit me to do mortgages, And
Sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
He's telling me that I was coming after him.
I don't think so.
I didn't want to trade my desk for his desk.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be behind a desk.
Yeah.
And when I told him that, he was like, all right, I have somebody you need to meet. And that's when I met my original mentor in real estate, Mike. Exactly. And then I just got in his car every day and just listened. I met him once. We were supposed to talk for 20 minutes. We talked for 2 hours. It was apparent to me that this guy had something I wanted and knew more about his industry than anybody I've ever met. And I was like, I want that. So I went in that night and I said, listen, I was thinking about it prior to that, but I just committed. And they made me stay for 3 weeks because I had to find my replacement. Yeah. But then after that, just working minimum wage again. Yeah, I was thinking about the name of your podcast too when I was driving over here.
It's about to come up.
And I was just thinking the dream is free. It's such a cool name, and I was thinking, well, the dream is free until you tell people about the dream. Then it's not free anymore, because that's when the naysayers come out and they tell you, no, don't do it. And it doesn't mean that they want something. They're jealous of you or anything, because I had loved ones even too when I quit that job, because I was getting paid a salary, had my benefits.
Yep.
On track,
you were good.
On track to be
Safe.
VP, you know, nice and safe.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't do that. Real estate market's not doing well. You know, and it's not.
You think it's just their own fears?
Yes.
They were trying to protect me.
Yes, exactly.
Out of love. It was most of it was coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Some of it
haters,
you know, But you know, when people tell you not to do things, it's not always because they're hating. They're doing it from a place of love because they seek security.
Yes.
Right? But the difference between me and them is I don't seek security.
Yes.
I seek growth and contribution.
Yes.
That's it.
And peace.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You know?
Actual peace in here.
Yeah. I find that peace through growth and contribution. That's why
awesome.
I love to coach people and teach them about business and anything, you know. Many times I don't get paid for it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the paradox of life? The more you give, the more you have.
100%. You can't keep what you have unless you give it away.
Right?
So
beautiful.
The last night we were with a group of people. We went out to dinner. Some of the people that we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
It was fucking epic.
It was
You're gonna create a little mastermind over here.
We kind of have like we have this crazy network that we've developed from the guests that have come on. Like you're already like one of our best friends anyways, and like family, but like other people that we've never met before come on and leave, and they're like our best friends after that. Like they're like part of our family now.
Because you're with like-minded people.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's cool.
You're all vibrating on the same frequency.
Yes,
it's very easy to.
Yeah, and then we're connecting those people with the other people from the show, and it's just creating like this crazy web of like-minded people who are different, doing different things in life, but all aligned with like the same kind of purpose, you know?
Yeah,
100%.
It's dope. It's like every time we have a guest on here, we like while we're having this conversation with you, we're like, you have to meet blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Because like throughout the conversation, we figure out who would vibe. You know what I mean? Who would connect? Like even just yesterday with Chris Wines, the guest Worth. So why do I keep saying Wines? Chris Worth. He was like,
you're combining Warrens and Worth.
I am, and Chris Worth is like, I want to have Chris Warrens on my podcast. We're like, dude, Jake already sent the email out yesterday. That's I think is one of the most beautiful things about this show is the connections that we get to make for everybody else.
Yeah,
you know, like we're obviously connecting with them, but it's even more special when you see Angie's Instagram and she's going out to lunch with DH and Graham and she's wearing the DH and hat on. It's like it's just so awesome. It's like that's just the best, you know.
It's been really cool. But so we were sitting at dinner last night and I was like getting to know each other more, and I was talking about sobriety, right? So I was like, I've been sober for almost 8 years, and then another thing that I was kind of thinking about, I was like, if everything that I've been through in my entire life, right? Even right now at this exact moment led me to this exact place right here, sitting right here, you know what I mean? Then I would go back and do all of it again. Yeah. You know, not that I don't regret any of the things that I did in the past or stuff like that, but if it all led back to right here and the people that I have in my life right now, like I would do it 100 times. Yeah. Yeah. You know, like I wouldn't know you know what I mean? So like TJ, just backtracking, Junie. Like all our whole, like for me, my whole friend group almost, you know what I mean? My family in my life, my friend group, my job, my success and everything is really goes back to sobriety. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, cause I was saying to the guest yesterday, like I got sober, you know, started getting sober at 19, stayed sober at 21. And I was a lost kid. You know what I mean? when I got out of rehab, I had no
idea.
I didn't know who I was. I could barely put a sentence together. You know what I mean? Because I spent so much time just like
in your head, and introverted. Yeah.
No wonder we didn't know where the commas went.
Right. Yeah. I didn't care where I didn't even know. Yeah. But I was just like, man, like I'm everything that like I went through, like if it led me to here, like I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like I love my life today, and it took a long time to love myself and my life, but you know.
I agree.
You're here.
Hardship brings the true person out of them.
Yeah.
You know? You learn a lot too, because I truly, one of the things I enjoy the most about you is I believe that you live by the same principles that I live by. And like we have the same character. And when I'm mentoring, whether it's younger men or just anyone in general, I always bring up one line that I've learned. I've developed the line myself, but I learned it through where we met. And what that is the true testament of a man's character is what he does when no one's looking.
Yes.
Right. And before getting sober almost 9 years ago, if you weren't around to look at me, I didn't think I can get away with whatever I want because, but the thing is that I knew what it was, you know, but I didn't realize that because you never took the time to reflect.
Right. Or step outside your own self and look at yourself from someone else's view.
Yeah. Selfish, self-centeredness, self-seeking, that I think is the root of our problem. And it is the root of our problem just in society in general, right? If we as individuals can kind of cure that problem one at a time through growth and contribution, that's where we find peace. And then all of a sudden,
yeah.
And then you just make these connections that you're talking about. And then you have podcasts like this, and then you're doing it for selflessness. And you're saying, hey, Jake, you actually got to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Because I know he can get you where you want to go, you know, quicker.
Yeah.
And turn decades into days.
Yeah. It's been crazy. And the other thing I was thinking is like that addictive personality. You know what I mean? Like if it's being used in the wrong direction,
yes.
it's not a good thing.
No.
Right?
But
like you've proved it to yourself. I've proved it to myself. Mike's proved it to himself for sure.
Multiple
Maybe he's
times.
still proving it a little bit to himself. But it's like if you have that obsessive, addictive personality and you can balance it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to, but like and you're using it in the right direction, it's like
big things can happen.
Like, it's my best attribute.
100%. Well, that's what I'm saying.
For you
need to have it, but you need to have the principles underneath
Yeah.
it, like you know, the hope, the honesty, the brotherly love, the contribution, all those things.
Right.
You know, once you have that as the foundation, then if you still have that addictive personality or that nothing will stop me, I'm gonna obsess over this thing until it manifests into something. But I'm still not gonna compromise who I am to shortcut that. Then
harness the right way. It's like a superpower. You know what I mean? Like
you could be Batman.
That's what I'm saying. And I was gonna say you should claim real estate Batman.
So it's funny. I have
Batman
He's
of
like
real
it's
estate.
taken already.
Yeah.
No. I actually have in my I did this collaboration with a local artist, and they came to one of my renovation projects, and we were filming the renovation project while she was painting on canvas, and she painted the city line and I asked her, I said, hey, can you throw up the light?
Yeah.
And then put ASJ in it as if it's Batman, and it hangs in my office.
That's
now.
fire, dude.
Yeah, and it's funny because one of the realtors that works for our company, he walks in, he looks at it, he's like, you know what? You are the real estate of Batman of real estate.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I appreciate you.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I mean, yeah.
I like it a lot.
It's a good. I don't know anyone like that.
I'm gonna send you a picture of it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
It's fire.
Yeah.
I love Batman. I love comic books. We have a whole comic book thing down there. It's like I'm obsessed.
We'll post it up when we post your
yeah.
podcast.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So I love
On
it.
Instagram,
It's
it's
just
sick.
got the ASJ right in there.
Yeah,
we
it's
will.
fire.
Can you talk about like so after switching into real estate, right? The struggle of building your business.
Yeah. Well, so I would say one of the first struggles that I had was the realization, because prior to that, like we were just talking about a sobriety and stuff, and the issue with just most people in general, but also definitely people that, you know, are drinking too much or maybe have substance abuse problems, they're inconsistent with things, right? So when you have that tendency, the people, your sphere of influence, the people that know you, they view you as inconsistent. So I think that that's one of the issues that people have when they're switching careers, or just younger people in general. Usually when you get older in life, you gain a little more consistency. But the other thing is when you switch careers, people identify you as one thing. So I was Alan, the fitness person. You remember, I was still throwing up
Dude,
videos.
He had an 8-pack too. He was shredded. I remember.
Yeah, and I got the dad bod, but I just bought a fitness thing. So I'm not trying to get back there.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely trying to get healthy mode.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to teach my son to be healthy.
Yeah.
You know? Being around my son is a big thing in my life because I didn't really grow up with my father figure around, so I want to make sure I'm there for him. I want to change that cycle. You know?
Yeah.
But rest in peace, my father. He was a good guy though.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, what I was saying is that people see you in one light, right? They saw me as Alan in the fitness industry. You know, I was selling shakes. I was signing people up at the gym. I was doing, you know, training people, teaching people how to box, all that fun stuff.
Muscle
right?
ups.
The muscle ups, broke my foot, my leg, or my ankle the first year in real estate. Man, I was showing houses in pink casts.
I remember.
The long hair. You remember the long hair?
That's funny.
Yeah. He had the flow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but what I was saying is that one of the first struggles that I had in real estate was, you know, naturally you break into it. When you break into it young, you don't really have a sphere of influence because none of your friends are buying yet. And I was just, you know, I was around the age where, you know, most of my friends were delinquents, you know, so they're not purchasing real estate. I had no natural market
Or your fitness supplements.
exactly. So you know, I was thinking, you know, I remember just my younger brother was getting married. This is a big, he doesn't even know the people that have the most effect on you, they don't even realize that one sentence they say just kind of turns your life around in regards to, you know, your mindset. And I asked him, he was getting married and he was thinking about buying a house. And I was like, oh, Roth, you know, I just got my real estate license. I'm excited. You're going to buy your house through me. And he's a very straightforward person. He just looked at me and said, absolutely not. And I said, what? Why? And he's like, Alan, you have not been consistent your whole life. You also just got in this industry. You don't know what you're doing. And I love you, but I'm not going to buy my house through you.
I could respect it. It's like,
I respected it, dude. Yeah. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It wasn't what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But I remember going home,
reality check.
and because of sobriety, I reflected that night, and I, you know, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Who did I harm? How can I make an amends? You know, the checklist that we go through,
Right.
Yeah.
And so I went through that checklist, and I was like, you know, I was resentful, right? Because it was hurt. It wasn't what I wanted to hear. Yeah, exactly. Sure. Self-esteem and all that fun stuff.
Ego comes in like, screw him.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? But he's right.
Yeah.
Haven't been consistent. That's why it took 8 years to graduate from Housatonic Community College. I was busy doing other things, you know. I just had a great career, and I, you know, up and quit it to do this pipe dream of being a realtor that everybody wants to do in a struggling market. So I took it real serious, and I stayed up super late, and I truly tried to master my craft. I wanted to know everything about real estate in general, about houses, about construction, about furnaces. So when I'm in there, I can talk the language. I want to know everything about the transaction, the process. I was blessed enough to be around you in the basement over at TMS in Fairfield and learn about mortgages, right? Whenever appraisers showed up or inspectors showed up, I would drill them with questions. I just want to know more and more and more and more. And it really allowed me to lower my ego because anytime I learned something new, I would do those selfie videos. And that's when I created the Alan Stewart Jr.
And you killed it with those too.
Parents real estate.
Yeah.
But everyone loved it. But you know, you get the people out there that.
There's always going to be haters.
Yeah.
when
That was
coming
before
up,
a lot of people were doing video too.
Yeah.
So like, you know, and I was used
I remember my dad one day was like, I was on the phone with him and he said, Alan Stewart, not your parents' realtor.
he was still, you know,
He was all
Shout out,
about
John.
it. Yeah.
It's funny, man. I'll be in a farmer's market or something randomly, and they'll be like, "You're that guy."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't have that many followers, but a lot of people will watch. They won't like. They won't comment. But that's the way that stuff.
I know.
goes.
It's so freaking
when it
annoying.
comes to just to make you guys aware. So
No, yeah,
you
we
know,
know.
whatever you guys are trying to do with this thing, there are people watching. You know, and
Thanks.
They don't tell you. They hit you up when they're ready.
Yeah.
Right? But so there was that because I understood that I needed to know so much about my profession that I can articulate it in a drop of a, you know, just when someone brought it up, boom, I get in with the facts. And that way, when I'm at my, you know, local barbecue or something like that, I can become the authoritative figure in my industry because I had a couple things going against me. I was new to it. At the time, I didn't have a lot of sales. You know, a year later, 40 the first year, and then like 70 the next year, and then, you know, now we're...
But 40 is a lot for a first-year real estate agent. Which
Yeah, it is.
is what you did, right?
Yes, yeah. So, you know, that was like an anomaly thing, but that's why our company's so successful because I developed a, a systematic approach where I
That
can
works.
teach it and I can duplicate myself. And now we have a ton of young men and young women doing really well for themselves. And my favorite thing about them, just on a little side note, is they're very good people and they do good for the community and they're genuine people. But yeah, so, to the point where I am happy to say my brother did not buy for a year and he did end up buying through me. And since then, I've had multiple family members buy through me and things like that. But I realized that I had to take it super serious. And no matter what you do, you have to take it very serious. And you have to be the authoritative figure, somebody worth listening to.
Right.
Otherwise, no one's going to trust you with the biggest investment of their life.
Yeah.
And then, and I just learned that. And that's like one of those principles that we're talking about. So now anything I do, whether it's developing properties or grooming people, I take it super, super serious. And super serious can come in many different forms. It could be, me not just knowing my craft, but it could also be like me, if I'm sitting down with you having a conversation, turning my phone over and not looking at it and looking you in the eye and doing active listening. That's super serious too.
Yeah.
What we don't realize is like there are critical inches in everything we do in this world. And we all want, like, the dream is free, right? So you want the dream, which looks like it's way up here, and we all are right here, and we want to make the difference. And we think, if I just do this, or if just this happened, then I'll get there. But what people don't realize is it's not that. It's a bunch of critical inches done consistently over time, what elevates you. And that's how you turn decades into days. That's how, because most people, I know I'm going on a rant.
No, you're good. No, this is perfect flow.
Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. Like, I got my whole plan mapped out. Doesn't mean that that's the way I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But, that's how I can turn a decade into maybe 2 or 3 years. I got my decade plan, but as Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the face.
Yep, exactly.
And life has a way to punch you in the face consistently.
Always, yes.
So
yeah.
But that's it. So like those nights where you're, discouraged and this, and you're hearing things that you don't want to hear, and you're reflecting on your day or whatever, you just got to remember, like, consistency is what provides results in this, in this life, and happiness, as I was saying to you before we turn this on, happiness comes from progress, right? Because we need purpose, and we need progress towards that purpose in order to have fulfillment. And a lot of us lived in, we knew a hopelessness that very few people did, is because we had lack of purpose in our life.
Right.
So
Awesome. Have you had any major downs? You know what I mean, in your career?
Yeah. Since who's he, right? You're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, and just like building the business up and everything, like major downs, and how did you like overcome them?
I would say, real estate's always been very blessed to me because I'm very consistent with my professional life. But I would say, since I have started in real estate, and I teach a lot of the men that I mentor this too, and I'm talking with one of my best mentees right now, Tom Cody. Shout out to him. He's
shout out Tom.
Oh, he's a beast. Dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's my number 2.
Yeah.
And then, we're grooming a lot of other guys too. But, Tom Cody, we were talking about it because he's going through some personal hardship in his life. So some of the courses I teach, they're not just about how to produce more, how to be a great salesman, how to be smarter at negotiating, how to do your taxes, how to build wealth, right? How to renovate things. Some of the courses are just as simple as processing emotions, right? And so he's going through some hardship in his personal life, right? And one thing that I tell people all the time is, if you want to be a great businessman, you need to realize that your clients don't care about your personal life. Because since I've gotten into real estate, prior to that, my father died. But since then, I've had a brother die. I've had a best friend die. I've had Courtney and I have had multiple miscarriages. There's been a lot of tragedy going on. However, you still got to show up for your clients.
Yeah.
Because even if you tell them that, because I learned that at LA Fitness when my father died, actually, because it's just like, oh, he died. And the guy's like, it's okay, man. You could take about 2 days off, and then, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing where, and I'm not saying that people are bad people. They genuinely want good things for you.
They have their own interests, right?
Yeah. Selfish, self-seeking, that we think is the root of our problems.
Right.
It's not just us. It's everybody. It's our society. But you can tell somebody and just say, my brother just died. I need to take this day. Okay, that's fine. But can we still see that house this weekend? Yeah, I'll book it right now. So what I'm saying is those are like the really down. What I found, once you can manage that, it sounds almost sociopathic, but once you could start compartmentalizing your life a little more, then this area, the area that allows you to provide for your family and do things like that, that keeps rolling while this area is a mess. Because the truth is, everyone's life, at least one department, is always a mess.
Yeah.
But some people don't compartmentalize their life, so the whole thing's a mess. But the truth is if you're seeking growth, there's chaos in your life. Because if there's not chaos, then there is no growth.
Right.
Because chaos is outside the comfort zone.
Right.
This is the comfort zone. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
And that's where the chaos is.
It's also really like easy in this business too to like get really, really busy and tune everything else out.
Yeah.
And just work and work and work and work and work. And then like all, your personal relationships are falling apart.
Yeah.
Breakups are happening.
Yeah.
It's like this year, especially for us, has been,
of course, yeah.
There's been no balance. It's just been,
madness.
Put your head down and work. But the other thing about being, commission based, like in a commission based business, is like you're all like you want to get it while it's there. You know what I mean? Because everybody, like ever since I started in the mortgage industry in 2012, has been telling me like, oh, like it's not gonna be like this forever. It's not gonna be like this forever. Every year has been pretty good. You know what I mean? This year has been amazing, like best year ever. But everyone's not gonna be like this forever. And I'm always like in the back of my head telling myself it's not gonna be like this forever. Like, is that just something like they're just telling me so I keep working more? Like, I know there's there's down times and stuff, but it's just.
Yeah, but even with the downtimes, like
no pun intended.
This is the way that I think about it. Like we were talking about, security, right? With security usually comes scarcity, right? And people say things like that, right?
Right.
But my belief is it won't be like this forever. However, even let's just take, like, for example, our industry, but you can do this relative of any industry basically, because everything has its ebbs and flows, whether it's seasonal or whether it's recession, depression, inflation, right? But even in the greatest crash since the 1920s, which was in 2008, it was prior to my stint in there. However, I did study it, right? It went down about 30% across the board, right? However, there's X amount of people in the industry, and 40 to 50% of them flee the industry. And our industry, there's a lot of people doing one-offs, two-offs, it's a 90-10 rule, or I forget, Botovich or something. He's got the 80-20 rule or something like that.
Right.
But in our industry, it's more like the 90-10, right? Where it's 10% of the people do 90% of the business. That's a fair statement, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So think about it this way. So if even in the greatest of recessions that we've seen in our lifetime, it drops down 30%, but 50% of the people are fleeing for security, that's still a 20% margin out there where the higher people can gain market share in something like that. So it's all mindset. You know what I'm saying?
It's your network too, how hard you're working. Like,
exactly. Yeah, how smart you're working and hard. I believe that you got to work hard before you work smart. I mean, a lot of people, you always hear those one-liners, those great one-liners, work smarter, not harder. Well, how about do both for the beginning at the least? Or
exactly. Because learn to be smarter.
Yes.
Right?
Well, through hard work, you learn how to be smart, how to
Exactly.
be more resourceful, how to leverage out, you can afford to leverage out their human capital, buy
you have to
software
work hard
sources.
in the beginning no matter
You have
what.
to.
It's like,
But you hear those lines, right?
I know.
I remember when I was grinding, like those burning down relations, like my first couple of years, and still so you were asking like where the downfall is. Like I still do that because I'm an obsessive person, and I'll grind out, and I'll miss dinners with my friends and stuff like that. Like I'll never miss them because I live by my schedule, but things happen and
show up a little bit late. You're on your phone while you're sitting there trying to wrap something up.
I'm getting better at that. Like I said, I got my little
I can't stand going out to dinner with real estate agents. Like, every once in a while, I'll take like Casey, Nikki, like that. Mike Angata will go out to dinner, and like the whole time, it's just like, "Hey, I'm just at dinner right now. I'm gonna call." It's just the entire time. Somebody's on their phone the whole time. Like,
oh God.
Well, but I used to be like that too, but I've also learned that there's really no emergency. Like usually, if there's an emergency, the house is burning down. If that's happening, call 911. Don't.
Yeah.
But like that's conditioning, and that's intentional conditioning too. Because in the beginning, like you said, a lot of people say, "Oh, get it while you can, get it while it's hot," right? So that's why they're they feel like they got to pick up all the time and.
Your client's not actually going to leave you if you don't call them back for 30 minutes.
No, exactly. And also if you have just little backstops in place too. Like I have special texts that say your call is important to me, but I'm currently with
Nice.
someone. I'll call you back right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Boom, dead it. you
Yeah,
know?
that's a good one.
Hit it, put it down. Yeah.
Exactly. And you just like, and that's where, there's different components to business that can make you a better businessman. And one of them is time blocking, right? So for example, if you and I are going out to dinner and I get a crazy amount of calls and texts and emails, it's a little
I know,
overwhelming.
when we get done with
Yeah.
this, when I look at my phone
Every
every single time, it's like,
Every time if we do the show at like 2, 3, 4 weekday,
even on the weekends, it's
and
just,
but like weekday, Jake's just sitting there after the show for like 35 minutes, just responding to everybody.
But that's the thing so you got to add a little buffer after the show before you got your next thing to give that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what people don't realize is when they're picking up at dinner, they're cheating themselves, the relationship,
Yeah.
all that fun
and
stuff.
it causes burnout too. 'cause I've
Yeah,
done that. It's just
exactly.
like,
And also you're half listening because and God is telling a joke while in case
just wanna
he's
eat this
laughing.
piece of
Oh,
steak.
I'm missing. Oh, and the steak's getting cold. And so it's just like people think that multitasking is a thing. It's not. Multitasking is a term from like the 1950s or something when the first computer came out that they thought was super fast, and really it was doing a bunch of things after each other, but it seemingly looked like it was doing it all at the same time. So it was a computer term.
It's
And then
multitasking.
yes, it's multitasking. and then it wasn't until the 1980s or something it started showing up on resumes where people are like, "I'm a great multitasker," and the reality is they're not. They're more. There are some people more efficient than others from switching from one
Yeah.
thing to another, right? Yeah, sure, you could talk and chew gum or walk and chew gum at the same time, but like I'm talking about things that like are more cognitive, more.
and if you're really trying to give your honest time, like you shouldn't be multitasking while you're doing something else anyway.
it's unfair to
Right.
whoever you're doing. You're cheating, like and there are areas where I still struggle with it when I'm with my son, and sometimes I cheat him because he's not as aware as you when I pick up the phone. But now he's getting older and he is. But what I want to say about this one last thing about multitasking is that people don't realize that if you're, let's say, doing emails and then you pick up the phone, there's a time lapse between the two where your brain resets and says, "Oh yeah, now I'm doing this," right? And if you add it over time with those time lapses, you would have been way more efficient if you just did this and then earn the right to do the next thing, and then earn the right to do the next thing.
Start and finish
But it's discipline.
before starting again. Got it.
Exactly. It's huge. It's very hard to do, though.
Yeah.
especially like ADD in this business where you're doing
Yeah.
I know.
10 things up on the computer, somebody's calling you.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Let's talk about purpose.
Yes.
So I also remember Fairfield office sitting in there with you probably like once a week, right? Where you'd come into the office and you'd be like, is this it? Is real estate it? You know what I mean? And you're doing very, very well in real estate too. But it's like you were always looking for something more,
Yeah.
right? Like you were looking for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Where since that time, you've grown a lot, right? So you're in multiple different businesses. You've been on the American Dream TV show, right?
Yeah, we got
doing that, mentoring people, business coaching, all that stuff. Where have you found that purpose in?
So I think in the beginning when I was saying, "Oh, is there more? Is there more?" A lot of it was from growing up and watching my neighbors and friends. My friends would have nice brand new BMXs. My neighbors would have BMWs, and they would get Lexuses. And I thought, and I measured my inners by their outwards. And that's something that social media allows us to do. And I haven't watched the new documentary, but whatever.
Oh, Social Dilemma?
Yeah, I've heard things about it. And I don't want to watch it because I understand it. I
Yeah.
don't need to watch it. I know
Exactly.
just
We
by
already
the
know.
title. But what I'm saying is it's very easy for us to do that, right? So in that stage of my life, when I first got into real estate, that's what I was doing. I'm running around a lot, grinding, trying to break this thing, to the next level, looking at other people's stats, looking at the scoreboard rather than the hoop, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, and I was just measuring everything. My barometer was a lot of that, right? And then, so finally, over time, I started realizing, you're not going to, the score is what it is. So just drive it down the field and get it in the hoop or in the touchdown, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of sports. I used to love
Me
to
neither.
play them. But what I am saying is, so since then I've started realizing through speaking to others and getting up on stage and talking to others, sometimes in front of hundreds or thousands of people, and I light up. And I realized through also spending money on my education through seminars that my purpose, actually one of the seminars I went to, you write your life's mission statement. I realized that my life's purpose is to grow, contribute, and inspire others to do the same. And as long as I'm doing that in whatever it is I'm doing, there is fulfillment, you know.
The business doesn't really matter. It's just
it doesn't really matter, you know. All that other stuff will follow, but yeah, that's where. But it's a hard place to get there. You know what I'm saying? And multiple people have taught me different things. Like those, I cherish those times in TMS in Fairfield. Like,
me too.
You know, we had a good little crew. We were all like very early in our careers, kind of, you know, doing whatever we could to get to the next level. And some of the TJ with his one-liners, right? You know, and one of his one-liners I'll never forget is don't count other people's money, you know, because I would see where he was at after he put almost 2 decades into this, or at the time, a decade and a half. And, you know, I'd be like, you know, how do I get to the next level? And that was my purpose at the time. Like that was my life's mission, is getting to the next level. And you're just like, dude, just don't count other people's money. And and over time, like, you know, once you stop doing that, then, you know, you could
it's good for yourself.
Start to progress.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm thinking about a whole bunch of different
Yeah, I know.
things right now.
Spew it
Just,
out. I'm having fun.
Yeah, no,
it's
just like
great.
processing everything. Purpose. I had a question in my head that I was about to ask you next.
What's going on? What's in the future for Alan Stewie?
Okay, so
Let's go with that for a sec. Like, what's something that people maybe don't know that you're working on behind the scenes? Yeah.
I mean, so
Batman doesn't share everything.
do you want Bruce Wayne or you want Batman? Dude, you know,
That's funny.
I have a couple of different things going on because, like I said, through education, I've been starting to learn. Like in the beginning with the purpose, it was about the how. How do I get to the next level? How do I get to this? And right now, it's transforming from the how and more about the who. Who can I align with to get this objective done?
Yeah.
Right. So in the beginning, it was all about, you know, like myself owning 100% of this, doing this, right? And then I've realized that, you know, you can't really do everything. So a lot of what I'm doing right now is, you know, expanding through other people. I'm trying to, somebody taught me once, wealth is measured in free time. So I'm trying to get a little more free time back to get around with my son. So a lot of that looks like through leveraging through people that are skilled through construction projects. There's a lot of that. I'm currently working with someone. We're writing a book.
Nice. So that's what I want. I had a feeling, dude.
Really,
I fucking had a feeling.
It's really fun. I mean, I have like a whole list of books that will be written if God allows me to stay on the earth long enough.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them will be thin and some of them may be thick and some of them may be just for myself.
What's
right?
this one going to be about?
So this one's just an onboarding book for real estate agents, because whether you know it or not, you know, 75% of realtors are there or higher don't renew their license. You have to renew your license every 2 years. So, you know, like I said, I have that systematic approach and just
75% of real estate agents who get their license initially do not
Renew
it.
Renew
the first renewal.
Yeah, and it's 2 years later. So, you know, there's
funny because like everybody I know is getting their real estate license right now.
Because the
"Damn,
market's
there's gonna be a lot
good."
of real estate agents.
Well, because the market's good.
Yeah.
And if you look at back into the past, you know, and, you know, if you look back into history, it can usually tell you there's usually some type of, you know,
influx, right?
yeah,
After a recession
there's
or something.
a pattern. There's
Yeah.
just a pattern. If you go back far enough, you see patterns, and that's what happens. When the market's good, everyone gets a real estate license. As soon as it bottoms out,
Everyone's out.
everyone looks for that W-2, not that 1099.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing too. And so that's why I was getting back to like the who and stuff is like, you know, one thing that I've been able to do is increase numbers year over year over year, because I'm realizing that I need to leverage out through other people, because I myself can generate as much business as I want, but I can only be in so many places at once.
Right.
So what I do is I compartmentalize my business like I do my life. And then I just look at it and say, okay, what is my most time consuming activity that I'm probably not the best at, or maybe I am great at it, but it's very time consuming and I can probably leverage out. And this activity, maybe I don't like it as much, but it's worth more money. It's more income producing activity.
And less time maybe or something to spend with your son or whatever.
Yeah. And those are what give us options. So
Right.
that's like what I teach the realtors in Yellow Brick and ASJ Realty Group, or I actually just provide for on my team is just, like for example, administration work, operational work. Like, these things are time consuming activities that we can give to other people. If we're willing and brave enough, because it takes courage to make income, right? To say, hey, I'm going to be, because like I have multiple employees and I'm responsible for their lives.
Yeah.
And some of them have children. I'm responsible for their child's life.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I'm putting up the numbers,
Right?
Because these people are buying houses now. They have mortgages. They have things going on. I take it very serious.
Yeah.
Their mortgage I consider my own. So I got to make sure it's not just for me and Stewie at home, little Stewie, 83, and Courtney. It's not just for us.
Yeah.
So we, we've got to find the right people, and make sure we place them in a position to win, and then make sure that we're when we take that objective away from us, we can spend some more time on our personal life, but we also got to make sure that we're not doing what we need to do, because the issue with being like a leader and things like that is when you get to a certain level, you are the alpha dog. You're at the front. You're the one breaking the waves, the bow of the ship. I don't know, but or just you're the one cutting through the snow or whatever it is. The leader of the pack. The leader. So you got to keep doing that. Keep doing that. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
We were talking about writing a book.
Yeah,
first.
and and then to add to that, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we'll tie it back in.
Yeah.
Nice little bow. Right?
Yeah.
Ready for it? You ready?
Yes.
No, but so with the book, right? It's just like, hey, so I don't have to. Hell, if other people break those waves, they don't have to be the bow of the ship. I could say, hey, just align yourself with me. I'm going to help you turn what I did in 5 years. Maybe I can help you get there in 3 or 2.5.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to make it easier on you. And then also getting back to tying it back into our conversation of when the market starts to shift or whatever industry you're in, when things start to bottom out, when you have those systems in play, you're leveraging through systems, technology, and people, even other rainmakers that maybe aren't as secure in their business, they will come to somebody who has these things, and that will build your business even more because you've taken the time to do these type of things rather than being lean and mean. Everybody could work together, and then we're through contribution and growth. We're all growing.
Yeah.
You got to make your life so big that other people can live in it.
Yeah. Everybody eats.
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing that when you were just talking just now made me think of something Chris Warren said to us even last night, like figuring out who to expend your energy and time to also is an important thing. And that's kind of like what you're saying. Like, I feel like you're picking the people to expend your energy and time to because you see that they're worth this. You know what I mean? They're worth the outside of the comfort zone magic. You know what I mean? Which is cool that you're doing that now
and it's
in your position.
Tough to do.
You have to align yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
100%. That's why I was saying the who, not the how. It's not the how anymore because if you get the who's, they'll figure out the hows. But in the beginning, it's
How?
It's the how.
Yeah.
How am I gonna do this?
Yeah. Seriously. I know.
I follow a guy online named Grant Cardone. I mean, he's a very acquired taste. Not everybody loves him because
10X.
Yeah, exactly. The 10X king.
Yeah.
So he's definitely an acquired taste. Like Courtney hates him.
Yeah, why? He's just too much.
He's too much.
Yeah,
you know.
Does she not like Gary Vee too?
No, because Gary Vee's a little different.
A little less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
he's toned down. When Gary Vee first came out, it was like, fuck, shit, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, now he's
That's
like.
not even why she hates him. It's just when you look at, Uncle G. Right?
Yeah.
You can see Uncle G's about Uncle G.
Yeah.
He and then Gary's more about like contribution and things like that.
He is.
So, but
You got to take what you can get from
from everyone.
all
Yeah.
of it.
yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say about him, but
You're saying you were following him and.
You just remind me of what I was going to ask you earlier.
Oh, nice.
Actually. It's like,
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
You said you spent a lot of money on self-development, right?
Yes.
Like growing yourself so that you could help more people, right?
Yep.
And like what kind of stuff do you do? Like what are you planning to go to? Seminars? Like what kind of seminars are you going to? Like what's...
Yeah, I would say that, well, first and foremost, before we even talk about that, where you spend most of your money is in taking risks and losing money.
Yep.
I call that paying tuition.
Yeah.
So, for
like
example, you know, you start flipping properties, you lose out. Maybe there's a little underground oil tank there. Oh, that cost, that blooper was 40, 50 grand.
Tell us, give us an example. I'm sure that's a real example, but tell us like
Well, there's one.
Yeah,
tell us the backstory.
Give us a good one.
Well, like, you know, like for example, like, well, this will align with a lot of things we're talking about, you know, the who, right? Partnered up with some people. Maybe they're not as fine tuned to the details. They know what they're doing. I remember we were buying this property. It was on a slab, right? And I know a lot about real estate. I didn't go there to investigate. I trusted on this guy, even though like something in the back of my mind was kind of like, you know, but I know enough about real estate that if you're on a slab, there's probably an underground oil tank. And I said, hey, just make sure there's no underground oil tank. I know it doesn't say it in the listing. You know, I bought this thing sight unseen, right? And sure enough, there was, you know, and then
how'd you find out?
There's when we were ripping out the bushes. There it is. Bing, bang, boom. You know, but you make mistakes, you lose some money. Pay tuition.
You don't make that mistake again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because if it doesn't cost you anything, you're likely to repeat it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You're likely to repeat it.
If it doesn't hurt you in your pocket.
Yeah. So that's probably the first thing that you can do to, you know, develop yourself is, you know, again, step out of your comfort zone, be willing to lose. And when you lose, it's not a loss. You either win or you learn. Right. But you don't learn unless you go home at night and really reflect. Right. And that's the component that a lot of people don't have in their life. They don't have that reflection process of, you know, where did I win today? Where did I lose? What could I have done better? You know, who could have done better by me?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So there's that. Right. And then, you know, anything from what was that? That was.
It sounded like an earthquake. Like, what the heck?
And then there's anything from going to seminars to online courses to reading books to constantly listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
But all that stuff, regardless of the money you're putting into that, you know what it takes more of?
Time.
Your time.
Yes.
Your time, man. And that's the stuff you can't get back.
No.
You know, the thing about money is just stored energy. That's all it is. If I want you to do something, it takes energy. Right?
Yeah.
But if I pay you to do it, you may be willing to do it.
Right.
So I have this stored energy in the form of a bill or a coin or something. And I just hand it to you. You go do what I want it to do. That's why. So once we start thinking in those terms, like, oh, okay, money isn't that much. It's just like some people are like, it's just paper. No, it's stored energy because it has some type of value on it. Right. And then here's the other thing is money is so abundant. In terms of there's more, it's like oxygen, you know, and there's enough on this planet for everybody to have $1 million or enough to have their fair share, you know, and those of us who want our unfair share, you know, that we have to be willing to put in the time, you know, and those are the hours that, like, again, my first year in real estate, when I skipped out on barbecues, I skipped out on birthdays, I skipped out on a lot of things, and people were like, oh, you work too hard, you do this, you do that, and I just had a vision, and I just said, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice now because I have faith that it will, you know, bring me closer to where I want to be. But getting back to our seminars and things like that, I mean, we're talking some of these things are 7-day seminars, 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day in a room, sometimes 20 hours a day, you know, crazy stuff, you know.
Yeah, no.
You know, walking across coals and, you know, just doing a lot of like really stuff that people, if, you know, I disclose some of the things that I do, people will be like, dude, you're freaking insane, you know? Well, those of us that want to change the world, crazy enough to think we can.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Who's like your go-to?
I would say I got some fundamental people. Like for a while, like the Uncle G, I was on him a lot. But like I said, a lot of people, it's an acquired taste because, you know, he was like my sales guy, you know, but he was very, you know, he'll teach you the tactics. But again, if you don't do it, and same with like Jordan Belfort, like they'll teach you the sales components. One of the best sales books I ever read was actually Jordan Belfort's Way of the Wolf, right? So that was a phenomenal book if anyone's ever looking to listen or read a book.
Word.
But I would say,
Honestly.
know, like I love Tony Robbins. That dude is
The
definitely claimed at least $200,000 of me.
Wow. Yeah. So you've been to his seminars and stuff?
Oh yeah,
Oh, dude,
I go to
how are
twice
they?
a year.
Wow.
So
I've always wanted to.
yeah, and Bob Proctor's a good one too. You know, he's like old school, one of the, you know, unfortunately, Earl Nightingale's not around anymore.
Yeah.
That's what we were just talking about
Yeah,
yesterday.
we were talking about him yesterday.
And Jim
Rohn.
Jim Rohn.
Yep.
So I listen to those guys,
Yeah.
right? But again, the listening is nothing unless you reflect, right?
And put into practice, like Chris was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
Putting into practice, actually, because he said he would read so many books that he realized he wasn't even putting them into practice.
Exactly.
So he wasn't really growing. Actually, he was getting smarter, but he wasn't growing.
Yeah.
So then he realized, all right, let me read one book, let me digest it, let me reflect on it, and then let me practice it before I start. Finish, start.
One of
just
the
like you were
things I
saying.
tell a lot of people when I speak to them is that like you hear these common misconceptions because they're the quips that are very cool lines that
Right.
make you think that they're real, but they're
Yeah.
not. One of them is knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Application of knowledge is power.
Yes.
I teach people all the time, like I could teach you how to rewire this room, but if you don't do it, there will be no light.
Right.
So you won't see it.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Exactly.
So like for example, we're talking about investing in our education. It doesn't have to be these big things. One of the things I did is I spent like $7 making my own bookmarks. They have my little logo on it, right? And it just says in there 3 questions to ask yourself when reading a book. Why is this important? Where would I apply this, and when will I apply this, or something like that?
Yeah, it's cool.
At the time, I was reading a book, and we was talking about application of knowledge, and it had 3 questions. I was like, oh, that's cool. Matter of fact, I'm reading a lot of books. Let me make myself a bookmark, and that's all. I got 100 of them at my house. I'll give you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I take one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
fire.
Yeah, but
I love that.
So every time I'm in it, I'm reminding myself
Yeah,
that
exactly.
this is nothing. So another thing is like I read another book about reading books because there are books about reading books.
Wow.
And I was thinking about like one day, maybe I'll write a book about reading books because I have these little things that I do when I write and read books. So one of the things that I was reading about was this mentor was saying, and I think it was Ty Lopez actually, he said, make a list of 150. I'm trying to make my top 100 books that you read more than once. So I consume a lot of material, but I have a couple of books that I've read multiple times. And this is coming from a young man. The first book I ever read was when I was 27 years old.
Wow.
The book changed my life.
Which one?
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh, nice.
The big
dude.
book, yeah.
The big book.
Yeah, it changed my life. And you know why it changed my life?
Because you read it 100 times.
I applied it.
Yeah, there you go.
Applied
Yeah.
it. Because actually I didn't even read it the first time. Someone read it to me. I was such a disaster that someone read me that book. But they made sure they were my mentor, and they made sure that I applied it. And then it evolutionized my life. And since then I have read that book and I learned from that. One of the principles was anything worth doing is worth doing multiple times
Yes.
and 100%.
Yes.
So still, I have these other books where, like, for example, I got a book, The One Thing, I'm basically forcing my team to read with me, but they're all about it because I tend to be a little persuasive.
Yeah.
But we're all reading it together, and it's probably the 6th or 7th time I read the book.
Which book is it?
It's called The One Thing.
The One Thing?
Yep.
What's it about?
So it's a one thing, and then the subtitle is what is the one thing in such by doing so makes everything else easier or irrelevant. So basically the theory, like one of the stories they tell in the books is basically a domino can knock over double its size. So basically if you flick a domino, let's say it's a 3-inch domino, it can knock over a 6-inch domino, which in return can knock over a 12-inch domino, which in return can knock over a 24-inch domino. So within 4 dominoes, we have substantially grown the power of growth, right? It's like a exponential curve, right? And then in 50 dominoes, you're knocking over something the size of the Eiffel Tower. And then in 70 something dominoes, I don't know the exact numbers. You're knocking over, something, a domino as high as the moon, right? So it's saying, what is that? What is that first domino where I can, flick a little bit of energy and it can just have perpetual, momentum in my life. So it's about that. And it's about not prioritizing. It's not like a priority list. It's like the one priority. Like what is, and that term I used earlier is earning the right to move on to the next thing. which is a hard thing to apply. Like, you know, you get good at it, and then you fail, and you get good, especially when you're growing into new areas, because you know you have 100 things you need to do, and that's that chaos we were talking about before. Like, you always got to, you know, if your life is not chaotic, you're not growing, because if you rely on where you're at and the systems and everything's going smooth, there is no growth. So this is the thing. When you enter into new parts of your life, you naturally go back to the instinct of, can I do this? Can I multitask? Can I do this, right? And then you got to bring yourself back and say, what is that first domino? And I need to complete this thing before I earn the right to the next thing, right? So it's a phenomenal book. I would highly recommend it. And if you guys, anybody out there in TV land wants a bookmark, I can make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, grab a bunch for us. We'll give them.
Yeah, we'll
that come on the show.
Everybody, honestly, it's weird. Another thing we talk about on the show are books, which is crazy. And obviously, one we talk about a lot is The Alchemist. I don't know if you've read that.
I haven't read that one.
That is one you have to read.
Okay.
Because I'm going to read the first book you mentioned. I'm going to get it from you after here, but you should read The Alchemist.
Which one it was?
I could look back. No. The first one. Yeah, the first one. I forgot what it was now, but I'll look back. But yeah, dude, The Alchemist is one that you got to read.
Yeah, you'll love The Alchemist. Right. It's like it's
quick read.
Book.
Quick read.
Yeah.
Good story. Good. It's you can keep rereading it and get something else from it every single time.
Yeah.
So that's that top 1 or 150.
Yes.
You know,
I'll read that book 10 times, like
That's
it's
what I'm
like
saying.
in a week, and like still be like, damn, how did I miss this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's
exactly.
You know why? Because it's
so short too.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
like,
Before you start, it's done.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, it sounds like it's an easy read.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Easy.
it's short, but it's also an easy read too, because you know you get these books. They got.
I want
big
to talk to you
words
after
and
you read
stuff.
it. You got to call me.
All right, sounds good.
It's about omens and purpose.
Yeah.
It's dope. Dude.
Yeah.
It really
Really
is.
good.
Well, the reason why it speaks to you different ways because you're a different person by the time you read it again.
It's true. Yeah.
So that's why you pull new things because it's relevant to where you are in your life. You know.
That's very. I read it in high school, and then I didn't reread it until a couple months ago when somebody on our show was like, "You have to read, The Alchemist." And I was like, "I read,
I read it already. Yeah.
in high school." Like, I probably didn't even read it. I probably read the first page and did some quick note thing to like get through something, you know. And then like I read it, and I was like, "How did I miss this?" And
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They say, "Oh, well, we do something," and we say, "Oh, done."
Right.
But you're never really done. It's all a practice.
Especially with books, you get in the habit of like, all right, I want to read 20 books this year. And
Yeah.
like, I want to, check all these off my list. And
Yep.
like, it's like, all right, let me just, for me, like I need to comprehend it. So like, I'll read it, comprehend it, maybe write something about it for me to really, really understand it.
Yes.
You know? So I've given up on that whole, like, I need to read this amount of books in this amount of
Or
time.
at this speed. Yeah.
I'd rather read one book the whole year. And if it's a good book, really, really take in like what the knowledge from it.
Yeah.
And apply it.
And apply the knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I would, and also too, there's something about like right now it's December.
I know.
You know what's after December?
January.
The new
That's
year.
the first. So now is goal setting, right?
Yeah.
And speaking about goal setting, my next team meeting is going to be about goal setting. And,
Nice.
and a lot of people like that's what they do is they say, "Oh, I want to be here," right? And I often talk about the GPS when you do this, right? So the GPS, when you plug it into the Tesla or whatever it is you're driving, you plug in where you want to go, right? But unless you're truly honest about where you are, it can't define the route,
Right.
And it can't find the best route, right? So you got to talk about where you're at, right? Or where you want to be. You got to back it down to where you're at, and then what's to fill the gap in between. But then also to fill the gap in between, that's the how, right? But without the why, the gas won't get you there. So the vehicle is how, and the route is what you're going to do. But if you don't have the gas, the why, what will this give me? And some people are coin operated and they want the money, right? But then you need to peel it back a little more. Well, why? What will the money give you? Will it give you more vacation? Will it buy your son, a little playscape? What will it do? So a lot of things I do with my team is I make them print out.
If you know your why, you can get through anyhow.
Exactly.
Right?
It doesn't even, the how doesn't even matter.
Right.
It will happen.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of there right now with us, honestly. Like last night we were talking about at dinner, like, we got these big people to me, with money in terms of money and stuff. And they're really nice. Chris and Angie, shout out them. They're mentoring us and being awesome for us. And we're talking about our next evolution from this room.
Yeah.
Which is a warehouse for us. And we're money, when you talk about business with me, it's like you're speaking Portuguese. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's going on. I don't know the how.
Yeah.
But the why, I know.
Well, that's
So I don't see anything here except in the distance over there, it's already built and I see it. We just got to get there.
exactly. And then you just need the who. So,
Right.
so you need the who because you're the artist. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
you do
he's my
it.
who.
You do it by the straight passion.
Yeah.
Right. And you're the person that will make it good.
Yeah.
But I can make the best cakes in the world. I
Yeah.
can be an artist baker.
Yeah.
But if no one tastes that,
Yeah.
right, then no one's gonna know.
No, yeah.
So you need the artist, and then you need the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is these are the systematic things that we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and at this time, it's best to do this, right? And the artist can usually sell pretty good too because they really know what they're talking about.
I'm enthusiastic and stuff. So
At least about the thing they're talking about.
yeah, true. Yeah, exactly.
You know? So and that wasn't that was just saying in
Yeah,
general.
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, so I would just say, and you are probably the entrepreneur that can help them. And then there's one other component too. I learned this from my education. I got to go back to one of my books. There's one other type of person, and these are the people in business, right? And that's why we usually align ourselves with these people because, you know, the artist, you can make the best skateboards in the world, but no one's gonna ride them unless you get them out there, right? So, yeah, we got the goal. I was gonna say something else about the goal setting, which you inspired me to do, but I don't really remember what we were talking about.
January's coming up. You're
January
with the team.
Yep.
Yeah, we go on these little tangents.
It's all right.
We
It's
have
beautiful.
where you're at, where you want to get to, the hows.
Yeah, we have
need
the-
to know your why. If you know your why, you can get through all of the hows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
It's
it was
all right.
more about like having clearly defined
Goals.
You were talking about
This is what I was
There
going
we
to say.
go.
Okay, so you got the big goal, right? But then you got to break it down to like, remember I went back to saying most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 because you need to break it down to that consistent behavior, right? Remember back to when I was saying, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we want to be. We think, oh, if only this happened. If only I got liposuction, I'd be fit. If only I took steroids, I'd be jacked, right? But people don't realize that neither of those things, you're not going to stay thin or you're not developing the consistent
lifestyle,
behavior.
right.
So in regards to the book, right, it doesn't matter if you read 20 books. It does matter if you read 10 minutes a day. You read 10 minutes a day times 365 days.
It's a lot.
That's probably, your
3,000.
average. Let's say you read, 10, even if you read 10 pages, a minute, 1 page a minute or whatever it is, that's a 300 page book every 10 days or something like that. Or that's 30, excuse me. So every 30 days, that's a 300 page.
Yeah.
One a month.
So that's 12 books right there. You're 60% at your goal. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? The more you read, the better you get at it. The quicker you do it. So by the time the end of that year happens, you won't be reading 10 pages in 10 minutes. You'll be reading 10 pages in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because through compound interest, Einstein's theory, then all of a sudden you hit that 20, and you do it just 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And who knows? Someday you may be reading and you're on a flow and you look up, you go, oh my God, it's been 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, if you're reading the right book, you hit that flow state where you're just like
It's like running.
absorbing.
I was just gonna say it's like runner's
Yeah,
high.
yeah, it is.
I don't
It
like
is.
to run right now because I got the dad bod. When I was fit, you'd go be on a treadmill. Wow.
Yeah.
You're a runner.
Yeah, he knows.
No.
I know all about it.
Yeah. I want that.
Sorry. We're going to our muscles going to be sent over next door to
Yeah, we don't
quiet
know
the
what's going
fuck
on.
down.
Steel toe Tim's. He's
Yeah, you got to fucking kick him in the
somebody
face.
Be nice to him, all right? It's Christmas.
I told him to quiet down. We got a special guest coming in.
It's all good.
What they're doing. It's always so quiet in here
It's
Yeah.
all the girls.
until we start recording.
Yeah, literally, dude.
It's all good.
And you can't hear anything that's going
No.
on. You won't hear.
Yeah,
after
here.
this, anyways. Like you don't hear it when you're listening back to it.
Yeah.
But sometimes we'll be sitting here and like some dude will just come out in the front on a dirt bike and just start
like,
doing a burnout, like
Yeah.
right in the front for no reason.
Yeah.
You're just like in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah,
It's
it's
part
like
of-
that. It makes it the realistic,
It's part of life.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that Tyson punch in the face
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
Oh, we want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But where can people find you
I don't know.
on social media and stuff?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I mean, all my handles are pretty much the same. They're just at Alan Stewart Jr. and that's AlanStewartJr. And then I've got a couple business pages. ASJ Realty. It's just at ASJ Realty. And,
Cool.
I used to put up a lot more than I do. So like to speak to that really quickly, just because I like to sometimes hear myself speak. I try to do more.
It sounds good.
I try to listen more than I speak actually now, because I used to speak a lot more. But when you put me on something like this, but like I used to, one of my major objectives when I was first starting in real estate is like get known, you know. And now obviously we have, through conditioning, a lot of our brokerages like that, right? And I've realized now lately that I don't have to be the guy to get known, like I can just empower other people so they get known. So I don't post up as much, right?
Right.
But I teach other people to do it because it gives that significant, not just, it expands your business, but it gives that significant button. That's why we like the likes and stuff like that. But so I don't post up as much. Maybe one day I will. Maybe when I write that book that needs to be sold, that's when that will become relevant.
Right.
But until then, I'm right now I'm just kind of laying in the cut, like trying to get other people where they want to be.
Right.
That's why when I pulled up in that car, you started like filming it and stuff. Like because we have a full-time videographer and stuff at our brokerage, and they're always constantly like, "Yo, let's do a little car video." Because that's that's the American dream. You know what I'm saying? And I've been like, nah, let's not do that. But I guess now
after today
we're caught out now.
Yeah.
So
everybody's gonna know you're Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Which but it is what it is.
It is.
And then the last thing that we ask everybody that comes on.
Oh, great.
If if you could go back to your how old? 30.
I'm 35.
All right. If you could go back to your 20-year-old self, right, and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I got to give myself advice. I can't tell myself something.
Either or.
If you could go back to your, like, this is more of a question. Like,
there's a young 20-year-old Stewie out there.
There's a young 20-year-old kid listening right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what's the one thing that person should know?
If he's like you at 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because at 20, I wasn't hearing nothing. But
I know, but maybe he's willing to listen right now.
He's listening to this podcast. He saw that you're going to be on it. He's like, he specifically came on to listen to you, and wants to know like what you're, he has similar goals he wants to be like you.
Yeah.
When he's
like you looked
35.
up to your mentor when you got in his car. He's in the car, but he's listening to the show right now.
I mean, it would revolve around one of two things. It would revolve around like have faith, like meaning just whether it's in yourself and humanity or just or what's going to happen. Like
process. Things
will be okay. Doesn't have to be doom and gloom. And the other thing would revolve around consistency. Like just be consistent in whatever you do. And I think that when I was that young, one of my biggest detriments was I was not consistent. I was consistently inconsistent, Yeah. And just by having consistency, so.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. We love you. Like, subscribe, follow. Go follow Stewie. If you need some real estate help, he's your guy.
And if you want other help too.
Yeah. Anything
Whatever
actually.
you want, I'll probably do it for you.
We'll see you guys soon. Love you. Peace.
All right, peace.
Bye.
She fine with it, yeah. Don't let them say different, yeah. Study working hard for that bankroll. 5'5", my type, and she well known. Bad bitch, big